Alright guys, welcome back. Another episode building the Sopwith Camel, Latrobe Valley, Australia. Watch along. Hope you enjoy this video. Don't know what I'll get up to this week. We'll see what happens. Righto, about to mix up some paint. We'll go with the green. Before I do that, or as I do that, we'll mask this up, flip her over, prep the top, 3 or 4 coats of green. Then the plan is I'm going to put her up there where she lives. So I think I just need to wander over and check another aeroplane. Need to cut these out, obviously, for the aileron cable. Now, something's telling me to leave a good 1/2 inch or so, just to leave the fabric stuck together. So I just want to check. If you cut it flush, the fabric will sort of separate. So I need to check on those before I start cutting holes in my aircraft. But that side's really good. Really happy with that. Reward for effort. Job done, flip it over, move on. Okay, there's going to be a lot of this, guys, but I can only film what I'm doing. So masking that up. Good thing with the brush, etc. You don't need to cover the whole thing for overspray. You do have to be careful. You can get some splash, I guess. And because it's so dark, it'll stand out. Might brush a coat on here. Well, I'll paint the white colour onto the tape now and let that dry. I'm not sure if I flip it over, will I be able to get to that bottom edge? I don't think so. Not easily anyway. Like under here. So I might give this guy a head start around there. But yeah, using the frog tape seems to work pretty good, actually. I thought it was a bit gimmicky, but I'm going to recommend the frog tape. As long as you, well, I just take the time to, you saw me before, I'll paint this white first, just the edge. It actually sets the tape off. There's some like water activated or fluid activated stuff on the tape, which then seals it properly, especially areas like this where it goes near the pinked edge. All right, so I think we're ready for some green. I'm going to have to flip it over, I think, just to check the top surface is right to paint and get the dust and everything off. Then we'll worry about the edge later date. It's interesting, this is the bottom, but this is where you go. I'm sort of going to be staring at this bit. A few people asked, I covered up the handhold. It's there if I need it. I can punch it out or punch it in. But in practice, I haven't used it yet. And I didn't want a hole, you know, for critters to climb into, I guess. So, mix up some paint. Make it green on top. Okay, lighting's probably not that great. Got 2 lots of lights going on. So first coat, giving it a real light sand. I love the look like it is at the moment. It's like a rat rod. If you're trying to achieve that look, it'd be a bit stressful, but just a dopey old coat and then a quick sand. I like it. Anyway, I've taken the edges off. Only takes like 3 minutes to do the wing. I'll come in now, Scotch Brite the whole lot, wet rag, another coat of paint. Let's go. Okay, 3 coats of green. I'm at that stage where I'm happy. So I think what I'll do is whack another coat on. It's a bit of a risk, that, because I'm really happy with the way that's pulled down, nice and neat. I've got a couple of little tapes. You can see them in the light, or I can see them, that I will hit with the iron, which will probably wreck the paint finish, but that's okay. I'll give a couple of little light sands and put another coat of paint just on the top. Then tomorrow I can flip it over. I still need to do, I've painted along the trailing edge here because I can get the roller there with the overhang. I've got about, whatever it was, 1/2 inch masked up on the bottom side, which I'll just paint with a brush tomorrow when I flip it over. Once it's flipped over, the plan is, if I'm happy, I'll put it on the bench. I'm down to my last 2 struts I've got to produce in my little factory here. Going on really nice. I was going to stop and put those away because I got all the gear out. I'll finish those off. It's getting a bit laborious now. Very fiddly work. Worth the effort though. They look good in the end. I'll finish those 2 off. They can go in the cupboard. That'll be the wrap done. Be a wrap on that. I'll probably tomorrow, if it comes to that, might be a bit more mucking around than I expect. The struts will come off and I'll fit those to the wing. The wing will be on the table. I'll probably move the cruiser out just to give me some space. Probably need 4 blokes. I may take the wheels off to lower it down. And we'll just pick it up like a beach umbrella. I think I've said this before. Hopefully it goes on. It's not going to be as easy as you think because, you know, you've got that happening, the angles, and you're trying to come straight down. So it may be a matter of one side on and flex the others, or all 4 at once. I'm not too sure. But we'll get her on. It'll be a fun day tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a fun day. That's where we're at today. I'm just going to iron some tapes, light scuff, another coat of paint, call it a day. All right, couldn't help myself. Quick sneak peek before I go home. Green on top, white on the bottom. Let's pull the masking off. I'll get a bit of emery paper in there or sandpaper. Clean that up. Right, so tomorrow, once this is all dry, I will, just looking at it, tomorrow I will offer it up to the fuselage and we'll see how we go from there. So stand by on that one. Should be a fun day. Okay, got my panels for the wing painted. What I think I'll do, I've got 18 of these circles to do. I think I'll tie them to a bit of 2B1 or something and spray paint the lot all at once, one day when the sun's out. I've finished my struts, all the wing struts, beautiful. 4 outboard, 4 inboard. About to clean up my little paint mess. And got the wing all nicely, just with beautiful lines. Looking good. It's not stuck to the bench, which is good. We'll move on to some fun stuff, back to the mechanical stuff. Alright, just taking the opportunity to fit these panels. This is going to annoy me. So I'm going to mask that up and just paint that edge. You can see here. Should I worry about it? Just because where it is, it's going to be up there on display. So 1/4 inch of paint along there. Mask it up with a frog tape. We'll brush it on quickly, get that done. And I'm just fitting the panels, drilling the screw holes so I'm not working upside down. They should all go back on nicely. Then I'll cut those holes out. Cut a hole in my nice fabric. Right, fussy? Yeah, probably. Just a 1/4 inch stripe on the front of the 2 panels on the leading edge. 2 or 3 coats. Let that dry. And I'll just work on the back 2 panels. Then I'll try and fit the struts, I think. Alright, painted my panel. You see there I've just painted that 1/4 inch. Just so it blends in beautifully. A couple of minutes work while I drilled the holes. I've run self-tappers in, fitted the panels at the back. Now I'll do the same at the front. I use 1/8 and 16th drill bits, or what are they, 3/32, number 30s, sorry, 3/32, which I call 16th, and number 30s, which I call 1/8. That's left over from the Zenith. So I've just done it simple. So 1/8 through the panel, 1/16 into the wood. I'll do the same at these front panels, then we'll look at some struts. I've also cut my holes. I've got the soldering iron on now. I'm just going to clean up the edge. And while I'm at it, I'll just knock out my drain holes with the soldering iron as well. Right, couldn't find the TV remote for a minute there. I was thinking it was under the wing, but it's not. So, I've clearly marked all my cabanes that have been fitted previously, for argument's sake. Right forward bottom cabane. So, remembering we're upside down, so this would go up there. This one goes down the back. I'm just taking the opportunity, why wouldn't you, to split pin this on the bench, and then I unwind the cable like this guy. So it's split pinned, I don't have to do that hanging on a ladder or anything silly. Split pinned, I just do the turnbuckle up and then lock wire the turnbuckle. I still have to get up there and lock wire it, and I haven't got the cable hanging down in the way. Also, it gives me the opportunity to muck around on the bench, get the correct size bolt. It's not done up, hence the blue tape. The blue tape indicates this bolt and also this bolt in here, because the strut can still move a little bit, just needs a tweak or correct torque. So I'm going through, I'll do all 4 of those and get rid of the cables. These cables now are just going to be in the way, the flying wire cables. Very close guys to, well, knocking off, to be honest, today. Then I'll get some help. Somehow I'll flip this over. I'll stand it up, turn it around first, and then we'll get it on there. Probably move the cruiser out, do it on a nice day. It's just started raining. It's good to be back on the spanners and just doing a bit of my trade. All right, rounded up a few people. Thank you very much. And I've got the top wing just put on for now, temp fitted. Screwdriver's not going to stay. Gives us some height. Looking good. Piece by piece, it's going together. So that'll stay on now. I'll try and get some bolts through. Yeah, fantastic. All right, just made myself what I call I call it a bullet, but it's a bolt U-tube. Don't get me for that. Tape at the end, knock it through. Now I'll knock the bolt. I'll knock this out with the proper bolt, and it'll go straight in, like on this side, just to get everything centered up nicely. It's a bit of load, twisting forces here, there and everywhere, but we'll get it on. Not too bad, just needs a little snug up. The paint doesn't help. All right, as the Corsair flies around, quick game of musical aeroplanes. Got the wing on. Fantastic. We'll call that temporary rigged. Just thinking ahead, to do all this stuff I need a bit of room in here, believe it or not, so I need to push on. I think I put another wing in here on the rack, a wing on the table. I think I'll get the wings covered. Get the wings covered and painted. Then I can pull down the tent, make some room, do the front with the engine. That's the plan ahead. We'll go from there. Okay, we're back onto a wing. So I'm just going through lock wiring my turnbuckles, done the crossover. Now I need to invent something, I guess, where the fabric is going to, obviously I need a hole, but I need something for the fabric to stick to. So whether I put plywood or something in there, I'm not too sure. And same down here. I don't want to get too much thickness out this way, because that will butt up pretty much flush up there. So anyway, I'll work my magic and we'll make a landing for the covering like I seem to love to do. Another landing there. We need to spreader bar to stop these sucking in. Round off all the corners. Lock wire those two by the looks of it. I've got to fit the panels. I'll drag the panels out, drill the self-tapper holes, and then we'll mask or put the reinforcing tape on. Going well. Okay, lots of thinking going on. A bit of can't do this until you do that, and you can't do that because you've got to do this. So I've got some 12mm ply here. I think I'll just, a little cheat, I might just self-tapper that from the back. That way I don't have to wait for glue to dry or anything. And I'll cut a piece that'll fit in there nicely with the hole saw. Give me a nice landing. Might as well do two. One for the other wing. And potentially something at the back here as well. Only needs two self-tappers just to locate it and give me a nice landing around the hole. Why not work with ply? Work with what you got. I've done the got the panels rough cut, if you will, ready to fit. That's the rear one I've grabbed. So the panels will go on. They're all drilled. Considerations where the strut is. I've salvaged these holes. You can see I've taken the rivet out. So these screws, if you like, will be oversized. Just means I can utilise that hole. The rest are only 1/16. It's just a pretty panel. So they're ready to go. I plan on lining up all my panels. I've got a list over there of what I've got to paint still. Obviously 4 wings. I've got to do 18 of the little round fellas, the click panels. 4 of those panels actually. The wing root panels, which will be green, and the wheel hubs, the spun aluminium wheel hubs. So before I pull the tent down, just a reminder that I've got to paint all that stuff. Unfortunately, she's sitting there neglected at the moment. I want to get onto some fun stuff, the pretty stuff, but you got to do the hard yards first. So we'll work on the covering. All right, just a couple of little cheater pieces. I've taken about, I don't know, a bit off the face as well. Just want to get good engagement. And I offered this up to where it actually goes on the aircraft, just to make sure it's not in the way. I am worried when the day comes that I offer the wings up, they don't slide on, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. That's just on with a couple of self-tappers. It's just a landing purely for the covering. As you know, I keep saying, I just don't like having covering sort of, if you cut it there, there's nothing for it to stick to. All right, bit of a brace at the root here, just out of L angle, stiffens that up. Got my wood blocks in. I've gone through and just scratched centre. I know you can make jigs and run chalk lines and everything. I find it easier. I just use I've got a 3" by 1 I cut, so 1 inch from any edge and 3 inches in between because we're out of the prop wash. And now I'm just going to go through and pin punch them all and come back and drill them out. Flip it over and do the top. So I sort of make all the swarf, then I'm going to vacuum, blast it out with air, put my tablecloth back down, start the covering process. Okay, as the rain comes down, I'm just laying out my fabric, obviously, on the top of this wing. I'm going to cut 2 pieces. It'd be nice to get the aileron out of that offcut. However, I'm not going to leave myself, too short. If you do it too neat, you could wreck the whole wing just to save that piece for the aileron. So we'll see how that turns out. I've measured it. I think I've got 20 inches and the aileron's 18-inch cord, so I don't think it's going to fit with enough overhang to work it. But anyway, I'm going to cut this off here, run out another piece. So I need to know how much fabric I've sort of got left. Yeah, if I've still got plenty, I'll just make sure I've got enough for this wing, and then we'll worry about the rest later. So these are my side panels. I'm just playing around with, what have I got? Cedar, light oak, maple and jarrah with 1, 2, 3 coats of each. So this is what I do just to get the right colours, and that's the thin plywood, or eucalyptus actually. So things do change colour. I'm going to have plywood on the side and the thin plywood on the back. So I sort of want it to match up. I think the maple is probably in front at the moment, which is the middle one here. 1, 2, probably only needs 2 coats. Probably roll that on. Then I need to make it fuel proof, weatherproof and all that sort of thing. I think this is Cabot's. I think the purple means interior. I'll have a read. Probably West Systems over the top, or Cabot's probably make an external clear varnish in satin maybe. So I'll let that dry. The wing, I'm ready to put the tape on, but it's nearly knockoff. So this stuff really needs to go on just prior to covering, I think. Does a better job. It doesn't adhere that well. So I've got the top surface showing, so I can lay the glue for the bottom surface. That's how we roll, and we'll go from there. A bit busy this week, some personal things to attend to, but keep chugging away. That's 2 days on that wing, just to get it up to speed. In my books, ready to cover. Happy with my little wood blocks. Just somewhere, just a home for the fabric. And this little crossover thing here, which is very crooked, but you won't see it. Didn't realise it was so crooked. I put a square on it, but obviously that was from the tapered rib, the curved rib. Okay, I'll check back tomorrow. All right, so just taking my time, going through on the wing, doing the bandages with the chafe tape. Anywhere there's a rivet or a dorgan, I'll tape this up in a minute. Just taking my time going through. It's all going to take time, guys. Get it done. I'm feeling a bit frustrated, to be honest, because I want to get onto the big girl. I want to get onto the pretty stuff. You can see I've come in and my stains are looking good. I'm somewhere between these two, which is maple and jarrah. One of those two. So what I'll do is so 3 coats, I think I've decided. I'll do a bigger scrap piece, and then I can offer it up to the green on the fuselage. That sort of fun stuff. And the wood and I keep thinking about what I've got to do. I think the Floetrol's coming out of the paint. I've got a waxy feel to the aircraft. So I'll give it a wash with like Mr. Sheen or something eventually when it gets covered in dust. But nah, she's looking good. Did I cover the turnbuckles? Sorry about the lighting here. I've got some bigger turnbuckles to go in here, which will help, because I had that, once again, nothing's tight, but I wasn't happy with the cabane moving. Yeah, and all the rolling around, I think I've knocked the undercarriage. Either that or we're not level on the ground, but I can fix that up. I've got the bottom, one part I might do is put the bottom pan on the fuselage. If you remember, I made that up. That can bolt back on. I just need to, I made the panel, and then to get the plastic coating off was an absolute nightmare. Now I've just got to get all the goo off. The temptation is to do the fish scale look on it, but I think I'll keep it as shiny as I can, and we'll get that on at some stage. So I got a little bit of spanner work there. That just keeps my sanity going, I guess. We'll chug along with that. Hopefully get some covering onto this today. What I'm going to do is spend the time, I'll cover the root rib here on that face. And I know from my aero modelling sort of experience, this corner, for argument's sake, is going to be left sort of naked. So it's probably worth, it doesn't matter, you know, but I might spend the time just adding, you know, a bit of covering. I was going to say film, that's a model aircraft term. Add some covering in here. So when I cut the 45 and fold this down, I don't have a couple of triangles of bare metal, although it could just go on later. So either or, and same along this face. Might do this face with like a 2-inch stripe. So obviously I'm going to come down about 1 inch. So I might do these faces first, do the fiddly little bits first, and then it's just the 4 edges once again to lay the fabric on and go over everything, make sure we're good to go. Okay, the wing bandaged up, glued the perimeter on the opposite side. I'm going to tackle this. I'll do the root rib first. I was going to face this with fabric, but what I think I'll do, I'll just bring I was going to try and salvage this piece for the aileron. I think it's going to be too tight. Let's get the wing done correct and right, and then we'll worry about the offcuts later. So I think I'll be able to fold it, you know, most of the way down and do the same on the other side. Give me a good bond of the fabric on the wing, which we don't want coming off. So glue's dry. Obviously the trailing edge, I'm going to sheet the bottom first. Trailing edge gets glued on the opposite side. So I've got glue there now, it's touch dry. Got my plywood blocks glued up for the fabric. And yeah, I think I'll just iron this on first. Gives me a nice surface for the wing skin to glue to. Rather than try and the whole wing skin piece to come down and around. You possibly could do it in one piece, but I'm still going to get my nice, you know, at least 1 inch overlap on the sides there, and we'll be good to go with the tape on it. All right, just rolled out the fabric. Got plenty of overhang, if you like. Just going around making sure I can't miss. You don't want to be too clever and too smart. So I'll start with this edge over here because this is the neatest edge. I only need 1 inch or so. Enough trailing edge to tuck under. This is the part I was trying to salvage for the aileron. I'll just worry about that later. I'll see what I get. I'm pretty sure I know what'll happen. It'll be 2 inches too narrow for an aileron, but anyway, we'll concentrate on getting the wing complete first. And yeah, my panel's not very square there. So we'll get this all on, tack down, and then I'll check back in with you. Okay, got the fabric on, glued around the perimeter. I'm trying to be a little bit more savvy with the glue this time because I know what's coming up. Got these tubes looking really nice. You can see how the plywood I put in there just works fantastic. Still have to trim this part once it's dry. That'll get a tape as well. So about to shrink this down. That'll probably do for the day. Probably not the neatest looking in there, but functionality wise. I had to pull this corner down. I just grabbed the pair of pliers, pulled it down. Just put a little bit of a kink in it. And I've glued it on just because I can. Just because that corner was sitting a little bit too proud for my liking. But now I'll iron this down, probably call it a day. We'll go to a 250 shrink, 250 Fahrenheit. Then I'll come in tomorrow. I got a bug stuck in there. A little sucker climbed in. Anyway, he's gonna get what's coming to him. And yeah, the wingtip should pull down okay. I anticipate a little bit of a scallop here, which is fine. That's where we're at. I can only film what I'm doing, guys, and that's where we're at. We'll pull this down, and then I may lay some glue on the other side for tomorrow's effort. So once again, just wetting out the edges, ready to cut. So the process is, if you're just catching up, wet out the fabric, ready to cut from a 45, etc. I've tacked it on underneath. I'm about to flip the wing over, and then I'll finish to a permanent edge here. Then flip it back over, iron it down. Got a lot of pollen in the air. I need to get some bed sheets, I think, and throw over. Got yellow pollen all over the aeroplane. Yeah, going well. A lot of funky curves happening here, but just work slow and iron them out, basically. No issues so far. Should come together nice and slow, bit by bit. I've just polished up the floor pan. I might throw that on now while I wait for things to dry. Just get started. That goes up underneath. Just if you are building a camel, don't forget to lock wire these two bolts. That one there and that one at the back. That holds that eye end, the eye end here, for the aileron. There's nothing in the plans or anything, it's just a bolt. But if that was to come out, you're going to have a real bad day. So, like as I keep saying to my Zenith aircraft guys that ask me questions, every single thing on the plane has a locking medium. The blue tape for me, if I haven't covered that, that tells me these aren't lock wired or needs attention or replacing or something. It's not finished. So the blue tape is what I do, just for, yep, needs work, not finished. Okay, I've called in the chief engineer and the offsider. How we looking, Jill? We going okay? So, got the top skin on, iron down to 250, wing's nice and square still, looking fantastic. We've got a wing. This is the heart and soul, I guess. And, right, I think I need to flip it over, do the other side up to about 300, flip it back, do this side up to 300, and we'll keep it going like that. Okay, keep going, big guy, you got this. Keep going. So, top and bottom skins tighten down. I just like to put the coat of glue on the ribs, just so there's some glue available to the ribs. I've covered that before. Now it's let that dry. I'm going to cut these out. I learned my lesson last time. I think I'll put the tapes on first, then I'll do my rings, then the doilies. Might glue these on now actually. The drain plugs, I'll put those on. If you do it right, you can sort of use the tape to cover the drain hole. And I'll just make this up as I go along, guys, to be honest. I sort of the process, it's all in the book, like your overlaps and things like that, but you get a technique and go with it. Put the wash on here because I'm about to cut those out and tuck them in again. That's a slow old process. That's where we're at the moment. It's probably a good time to leave that sit and then come in tomorrow and just look for any wrinkles before I get too carried away. Every 3 inches on every one of those blue lines has a rivet. And all the tapes, top and bottom, tape around the root, leading edge tape, trailing edge tape, aileron recess. When I start painting, I'm going to have to cover the aileron, which is fine, to do the roundels, etc. So I might do an aileron next just to break up the monotony a bit. 3 wings to go. Enjoyable process, but it's not quick. That's okay. Enjoy the ride. Okay, laying out the tapes now on the bottom surface of the top wing. Got to keep reminding myself which wing I'm doing. Good little tip I found doing this by myself, because the cord's, you know, like 6 feet or something. I just clip a thing on there, throw that throw that over the front, pull it back up, sort of engages, and then I can cut the tape. The best bit is you actually feel like G.I. Joe when you're a kid throwing the grappling hook up. So I found that a good little trick. Rather than walk around this bench a million times, it'll only be 900,000 times. So cut the tapes. I'm going to draw some lines so I get my tapes nice and straight. Bear in mind you'll see the bottom surface of the top wing a lot more than you'll see the top. Process is going well. Back in my mind, I've still got a lot of covering to do. Might do an aileron next to break up the monotony, but I think what I'll do is lay out 2 more bits of fabric, probably on this wing, because it's actually easy to roll the fabric out now, as you can imagine, onto this surface, and cut 2 skins. And because I'm pretty sure I'm going to run out of fabric, so I need to be on top of that. And I'm using this stuff, Superflight 1/2-inch tape, which goes on, I'll show you a good job, goes on here on the rivets. Works really nice. You just have to make sure that if you are riveting, I put the pencil marks. You think you'd see the hole, but it's very hard to find the hole, and it's very nervous putting a soldering iron through your brand new wing. It makes me very nervous. This time I'm going to do all the fore and aft tapes right the way along. I think I'll do the perimeter tapes. Then I'll come back and do the doilies on top of the tapes. I think that'll be a neater finish. You'll learn as you go. Obviously a tape on the root, and I'll keep cutting some more tapes. Tail of the tape. Whew. All right, inspection rings glued on. There's no reason I don't think I can't do the doilies. I'll just finish the tapes actually. Tape on the top there. This one's okay. Got all my tapes on apart from leading and trailing edge. Oh, and the tip. Just got to do the tip with a 3-inch bias tape. They'll let those dry for today. I think I'll come in tomorrow, flip it over and do the tapes on the top of the wing. Then I can do the leading and trailing edge tapes. Come back and do the doilies. Then that should be pretty much done. I think what I'll do then is put a wash on, put it in the tent, pull out the other wing while it's nice and fresh in my head, what I did to this one in regards to the ply blocks and the standoffs and everything, and do the same. Then I will take my time, go to paint while I'm covering the other wing. Seems to be a logical way to go. Alright guys, as the covering on that wing comes to a close and I get the glue off my fingers, just like to say thanks for watching. 3,000 subscribers. Thanks to all you guys that have subscribed. If you haven't, click the button. Lets me know you're watching. Wing is getting there. 3 to go. We'll see how the next ones progress. See you on the next video.